Hello, everyone. I am Troy Duffy. I wrote and directed Boondock Saints 1 and 2, and I am the Boondoctor. Now, you have found the podcast that is stocked to the brim with men of good cheer talking shit. What shit are we talking today? This one's for the writers. Okay, we have been establishing this thing where we can scroll the script by and put you guys right in our own headspace and read, do a couple of script readings, and we're going to do one from a hot new property we've recently found. Now, today's guest is the semi-famous but always controversial Aaron Berg. He is a comedian, an actor, and a writer. It is his script that we'll be reading from today. You may recognize him from such films as The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton, or his sizzling, white-hot performance for me in Boondock Saints 2. He packs them in with his stand-up all over the country and is a commentator on the popular Jimmy Fallon show on Fox News. Ooh, Gordo's just simmering backstage on that one. Gordo is our libtard of good cheer, and he doesn't like Fox fucking News one bit. So, just to piss him off, here's some charming exclusive video that Aaron shot for us yesterday backstage at Fox fucking News.
Aaron Berg here with Jimmy Fallon on the set of Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon.
That's a thing.
What are you telling them about Troy Duffy?
Hot damn, go check out Troy Duffy's hot podcast. What do you think I listen to in the shower?
That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. I watch you in the shower too, but not in a gay way. Now, before we bring on the man himself, let's say hi to my two favorite people in the world and my trusty Boondoctor co-hosts, Gordo and Lassiter. Boom.
What's up, fellas?
Hello, gentlemen.
Good cheer.
Bonjour. How is everybody today?
Good, good.
Fantastic. I'm coming to you from the lovely King of Prussia Mall here in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
What an odd name for a town.
I know.
King of
I had to look
Prussia.
it up. It's somebody was very impressed with the King of Prussia, and just
Well, with the
decided-
footage you sent, it seems like you're loving it. Are you enjoying the trip?
Oh, dude, I had to go out and see, Valley Forge. It's fucking America, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
right,
like that you made a vacation out of a work trip.
Well, it's right here. It's literally right down the fucking street.
So what are you doing? What are you doing there?
I'm building a store. This is the fucking thing. See?
Oh, wow. You're on a construction site in a mall.
On a construction site, fucking
Fucking,
mall.
we're men. We do shit. We have
Do
obligations.
shit coming at you.
it's
Just
awesome that you-
east and south is the Eagles fucking celebration, the parade right now.
Oh,
So-
dude, did that go nuts while you were you there during the Super Bowl?
No, well, I was, yeah, but I was up here, which is a little northwest of Philly. So I wasn't amongst all the mischief that went on down there.
So you did the Super Bowl and the George Washington You're red, white, and blue all over.
Dude, I know. I'm American.
America.
And as much as a libtard as you call me, you fucking bastard, I'm still a fucking American. I am.
I'm not watching Fox fucking News.
Watching Fox fucking News. You all are
He
programmed.
can't even bear to hit the send button on his remote. He just won't do it. All right. We got a bit of business to take care of before we begin. I hate to get serious here, but our friend Gordo has been struggling with something for his whole life. Many of his closest friends don't know about it. Me and Lass do. We have been walking down this sorrowful road with him for a long time. Gordo has been on a decades-long search for his biological father. And today, that search may be over. And before we begin, Gordo, just let me say it's not your fault.
Okay, thank you.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean, not you.
No, it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Okay. Sorry about the intrigue. Your mom, Suzanne, sent me a cheek swab in the mail. Sent it off to ancestry.com. We got 3 hits. So today.
Oh, good. What do we
maybe
got?
over.
I'm dying to know.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm here today.
First is a prodigious 68% match with this man. Yeah. His name is Roussel Crow. Apparently, he's a DJ from down under, mate. He's from Australia.
Yes.
I mean, look at this. The stunning. It's stunning. It's uncanny. And he's from Australia. Ask your mother if she ever got down under him. You know,
She might have, and so did he.
Home of hard dick and cider.
Not taking cider.
All right. Next, with an even higher potential genetic match of 82% is this man. It's not your fault, Gordo.
What the fuck is that?
His name is Randall Carlson. Wow. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Stunning
It's uncanny.
similarity.
It really is.
He's a scientist. You have a proclivity towards science, G? Did you do that mosquito thing?
You know what I do? I did very well in science in school.
All right. Well, ask your mom if she was a science groupie back in the day.
Hey, she was. I'm dying to see what 3 is.
Lastly, I mean, we may have found it. This is a staggering 94% match to this man. His name is Theodore Nugent. Apparently,
of course, my dad would
survivalist,
be
a mountain man, serious proclivity toward guns. Lassiter, I don't know if you know this about Gordo, but he does the whole Keanu Reeves serious like gun course thing and changes on the fly, target. He is crazy. We may have done it here. Gee, we may have. Look at that. Wow.
Uncle Ted. Hey, well, I guess he'd be Dad. Hey, Dad. What's going on, Daddy Ted?
Oh, my God. We got to go up and taste some of his deer jerky. Okay, did we lose Lass? Where's Lass at?
I guess we might have lost him. He froze up and then...
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Okay, well, let's see if he comes back. Okay, now just before we bring him out from backstage, let's take a look at Aaron Berg's harrowing death scene from Saints 2. Roll it, Sage. Clunk. You know, Ruben went over. He wasn't even supposed to. That cart was supposed to remain standing. I think he got hurt a little bit. All right. So now please welcome a most revered member of the Boondock family, our friend Aaron Berg.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Buddy, how are you?
Good. I'm at the King of Prussia Mall. I'm opening up a new Lululemon store.
Glad to hear you're here.
Yeah, you got some competitor down the hall is fucking everything up. This guy hasn't met code at all. We're trying to figure out who this asshole is. What's up, Gordo? How are you? Hey, Troy.
Good, Aaron. How you doing, brother?
Good. I'm in South Florida. I got shows in Miami all weekend. It's exciting. I'm at a Quality Inn motel.
Good. Where you gonna be?
Yeah, where are you playing at?
The Comedy Inn, South Miami. 4 shows this weekend.
The Comedy Inn.
Right.
Yep.
Now they put a lot of thought into that name.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Comedy
It's
Inn.
spelled in with 2 N's, not in.
Wow.
Oh shit! You can just stay there and have comedy the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look
great.
at that.
Wake up
place,
comedy. Go to bed.
This is the place you go for comedy.
It's the end. Yeah, it's the end.
Yeah,
They put about as much thought into that name as the people that invented the fireplace.
What do
They
you
tend to
want
do
them
that,
to
don't
call
they?
the
Comedy
comedy
store?
club? The Chuckle Hut?
Yeah, yucks and shit.
Yucks.
They got some good names. Yeah. All right, so Aaron, we're going to be going through your script today. Kind of give people an idea of this. This story is semi-autobiographical. Huh? Let's handle that first. Tell us a little bit about your history.
I grew up in a middle class Jewish family in Toronto, Canada, and I went through this breakup when I was about 19, and I was like, how do I get this girl back? And I was like, I got to get muscly. So I started working out, bodybuilding, started doing roids, became a competitive bodybuilder, won my first contest, the Mr. Toronto 1994 lightweight division, almost took the overall. It was insane. Then I'm like, I got 2 options. I'm a bodybuilder. I can become a bouncer or a stripper. I'm 5'6", and I was like into reading Kierkegaard at the time. It didn't work as a bouncer. So I had these friends that worked out at this pit bull gym in Toronto, and they're like, hey, we can hook you up with this stripping thing. So I went, became a stripper. I had to go to like an amateur night, did this thing in this small town, dirt floors, filthy, made money, had a three-way with these two really dirty ladies. And I was like, this is the greatest job in the world. And then I joke, it was a summer job, but I did it for like 2.5 years. And it was amazing. And I met like the most interesting people, and I became, like a bit of a gigolo, a little bit of a part-time pimp. And then after a while, it started getting too heavy. So I left. I moved provinces. I went back and finished my honors degree in philosophy. And it was literally, I say this, I got a wife and I have a daughter. Those moments pale in comparison to how fun male stripping was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me ask. Go turn on your philosopher's brain for a minute. Answer us this question: what's gayer, male stripping or bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding's the gayest. It's like figure skaters are gliding by going, "What's up, queers?" But male stripping, I'm telling you, the lines were really blurred, dude. We had to strip on Sundays for men. They closed the front door.
Holy shit.
The club was called Fantasies. They closed the front door and literally, this is not a joke, opened the back door for the entrance out of the alley. And it was called Heavens for men on Sundays.
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
Wow. So how long did that go on? So that was every Sunday for what?
Every
2
Sunday.
years? That was your summer job?
Yeah. And it was like, I danced with this guy, this Russian army guy. Story about this guy. His name is Wolf. He went on, he was like, he would run pinball machines. He was a Russian guy. He's like, we come collect from pinball machine every week. Money better be in there. And he was so homophobic. And he was like, I will not dance for these queers. I kill them. In Russia, we would kill them, murder them with my fist. And he loved stripping so much, but he hated gay men. So what he did, he saved up all the money he had. He had this sugar mama, saved up everything, went to Dallas, Texas, bought a club called La Bear. And La Bear was known to be the elite in America. And it was in Texas. These guys came out so organized. And there's a documentary about La Bear somewhere. It was on Amazon, but it's so hard to find now. And he's in it. And I was like, oh my God, that's Wolf. He's like, I moved down here, I buy this place. The strippers have to know they cannot do sex with the ladies. And blah, blah, blah. And it was like, that was all the fun of the place. You would have these women come in and they'd want to sleep with you. And we had this old Italian den mother that owned the place named Carmen. And she's like, if these girls want to sleep with you, they got to pay you for your time. You got to tell them you can't go out of this club unless they pay you for your time. And I was like, okay. So some girls like, I want to blow you. I'm like, it's $50.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, the script is basically the overall one-line pitch is that you who star in it have to go. You can have a family. Tragedy strikes, and you have to go back to male stripping at over 50 years old. All right. Now, I remember that kind of hooked me, but what really hooked me was your cold open, which we're going to start reading right now. Sage, if you could put that up. All right. Aaron was asking for my help on this script. I gladly gave it. We're writing it together now, but this is what hooked me. The rest of the script was basically sort of a hot mess with these explosive pieces of comedy in it. So I saw as a writer kind of what needed to be done. But let's go through the cold open and discuss this. And I'll tell you why I think this is one of the best cold opens that I've ever read in a comedy. Okay. So here we go. All right. I'll do all the narration. Aaron, you just play yours. To those listening, VO just means voiceover. That's like when you're watching a movie and you're hearing a narrator talk over scenes. All right. Strip Club Night, Toronto. The year is 1995. A packed nightclub with 300 screaming women. An oiled-up male stripper stalks the stage, topless, dressed as an Orthodox Jew, clad only with a yarmulke, tallis, dress pants, and he sexually dances with a miniature Torah. Klezmer music plays.
When I was 23 years old, I changed the world of Canadian male stripping forever. Really niche branding, I know. I was the first Jew to do what we do, make a barely living wage off of the sex trade in Canada.
Women throw money at the stripper, loonies, toonies, and colorful Canadian currency.
Years later, Jews ran the sex trade.
Cut 2, pictures of Jeffrey Epstein. Cut 2, strip club night.
I knew this couldn't last forever. I was already a pariah in my community. I wanted to be in legitimate show business. So I started doing what I thought was going to make me rich and famous: comedy.
Interior Comedy Club night. Aaron stalks the stage with a microphone, pontificating to the crowd about his male stripping stories.
I fell in love with a stripper named Moonbeam. With a name like that, she was either a stripper or a kid with hippie parents, and I wouldn't fuck a girl with hippie parents. They're dirty. I was a stripper at the time, and I was not a good stripper. I'm a short Jew. We aren't built for sex appeal. It's difficult to jump on stage to "If I Was a Rich Man" from Fiddler on the Roof.
Laughter fills the club.
Selling out comedy clubs, theaters, and then finally, arenas.
We see a full Radio City Music Hall, then Madison Square Garden.
Doing podcasts with the greatest in the land.
Rogan, Kreischer, Theo Vaughn, Bill Maher.
Private jets and 5-star hotels.
Peterborough Airstrip and Ritz-Carlton properties.
That's what my friends were doing.
Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis, all living their best lives.
But me, I was on the C list, barely eking by. I was an alt-right podcast for a couple of years, and that gave me some semblance of success.
Old footage in front of a green screen.
Trans people are mentally ill. Donald Trump is cool. Asian people want to start a pandemic. Black people are different than white people.
Back to our VO.
But then this happened.
George Floyd footage.
And then this happened.
Footage of Jan 6, 2021.
And I decided that I was being held back and pigeonholed. And I deserved the best. A low six-figure wannabe shock jock living was the heights I reached.
20 people in a club, some TV clips from live at Gotham Comedy Central, and more recently Fox News.
Along the way, I got married, had a beautiful baby girl, and adopted a Chihuahua. I did what people do when they get too rich to handle New York City, or they decide to settle because they won't be rich in New York City. I bought a house in North Jersey with a mortgage that would be cheaper than city rent and put my kid in private school because I thought I could. Then reality hit. My wife got sick with 5 autoimmune diseases, and I was stuck trying to pay the mortgage. And then this happened.
Footage of October 7th, 2023.
Then this happened.
People in the streets and college campuses yelling about how they hate Jews. Swastikas being spray painted. Jews being forced off their campuses. We see footage of a silent woman in close-up. She's a young Muslim woman wearing a keffiyeh. She holds up a sign saying, "Fuck Israel."
And then this happens.
Berg home day, a suburban home with love, laugh, live signs and all that fake garbage. A Google alarm sounds. Groggy Christine is in the bed and sleeps through the alarm. Aaron leans over and kisses her forehead as she sleeps through the kiss. Piper runs and hops up on the bed. "Daddy, are you taking me to school today, or is Mom?"
I am, honey. Let's go.
End of cold open. Okay, so that tip ass end part was now we're getting into the story of his life, okay? Here is what I love about this is why that cold open you basically took every inflection point, every major political story, and showed how it specifically destroyed your burgeoning career. It's like you were slamming into brick walls every time and just trying to move forward, but some massive thing happened out there in the world that totally undercut you.
Yeah.
Gordo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was beautiful. That's exactly how that went?
Yeah, I mean, I've been murdering as a comic for years and years, and then shit always comes up where it's like I just get slammed down.
I think, Troy, you know about shit coming up that works against you, like Columbine and all those things.
Oh, yeah. The political situations out in the world, that's what happened with Boondock 1, right?
But you can't seem to really avoid that stuff. I mean, it's going to happen end of the day, something
it's going to happen.
How do you get around it?
The funny thing about Aaron's script, and maybe even Boondock One, is that like these really specific fucking things happened. You know,
Yeah.
Like, he's going to do this controversial show about racial humor, George Floyd. You know, we come out with Boondock, and we were having our screenings for the industry at the time where Clinton was visiting, talking to CAA and everybody about pulling back on titles that depict violence. You remember the trench coat mafia thing? We had 2 characters in trench coats, Rocco and Duce.
Yeah.
The boys wore peacoats. There was 2 young kids that did the violence, 2 brothers. It was just all these stupid similarities that we were like, oh, man.
And that was enough. It's all that took for them to just, fucking cut the whole thing off at the root and create an issue.
Yeah.
There was a point when Weinstein went down. I had a manager in Canada that wanted to do all this stuff with me, and they sent me a letter, and I published it on Instagram. People thought it was fake. I shared it with Ari Shafir. As soon as I got it, we were at the cigar lounge in New York. I go, look at this. What do I do? He goes, post it. He goes, don't post the guy's name, but post the thing. And this guy wrote this thing. He said, due to the Harvey Weinstein thing and what's been going on in the world, we are moving away from sexual comedy material. Literally sexual comedy material.
Wow.
How in the fuck do you do that?
I mean, yeah, how's that even possible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not in reality, but this management company wouldn't touch me because I was so dirty and like prurient and provocative.
I think you could probably play Harvey Weinstein pretty good if it ever came down to if they do his life story.
No, my balls are outside of my body.
All right, so I remember when I first read your script and I read that cold open. That's what hooked me. That's what made me read through the rest of it, which was basically a hot mess with these awesome things of comedy. And what I like about our little collaboration here is writers run into that. We might stay on structure and stuff. We know we need this right here, and I got like this library of jokes to go to with Berg. I'm like, we need some funny here. And I'll get 10 fucking things. So it's come very fast. We got to probably just do a quick tighten up and then we can go out with it. But let's go backstage, guys, and reslate ourselves as the character roles. Sage, you got to play Lassiter's role since we lost him. Bob, you only got a couple lines. Can you handle it?
Oh shit.
All right.
You're in.
How do we reslate ourselves? It's easy.
Wait, at 5? Okay, I'll do my best.
All right, all the roles are listed there. Okay, so the name of the script is going to be King of the Castle. Love that name, by the way, Aaron. And this is just a scene. Well, let's just get into it, gentlemen. Go ahead, Sage. All right, suburban home. No, wait a minute. Fantasy male review. Aaron walks in. This club is not glamorous. It's not Magic Mike. It's more Tragic Kike. A dark, rundown bar with a small stage. Aaron hesitates, but then takes a seat at the bar. He orders a beer and watches. Small crowd of women and a few gay men. The man from the TV commercial, Lucretius, is on stage. He is bloated, fat, and there is nothing sexual about him. He is dressed in a crumbling jerry curl wig, a janitor outfit, and is pretending to mop the stage. He gyrates to the music. Women look on in confusion. A couple of ladies tip him with coins. We fade in and out of Aaron watching the show while sipping his beer. Let's take a look at the Fantasy Male Review Dream Team as Lucretius acts as the DJ introducing the dancers. Ladies, always remember, black don't crack, but white. It's all right. This man is so white, he'll make love to you with Crocs on. He's so white, he likes fishing, taking his kid to ballet classes. He's so white, he likes long monogamous relationships, except for tonight. Tonight, he's on the prowl. Please welcome to the stage, Heartthrob Bob. Bob, 43, hits the stage in an ill-fitting suit, carrying a briefcase. He starts stripping to I'm an American Man by Brent Bennett and the Movers. Though handsome, his physique is not impressive. Aaron looks down in disappointment. Fade to later on. Hey, ladies, how many of you need a good stretch in your special place? This next man gonna take you into downward dog. You're gonna put his manpower in your lotus flower. When you get on his magic carpet ride, you get off sexually satisfied. Please welcome to the stage, Guru Tamir. Namaste, bitches. Tamir Muhammad, 34, takes the stage. He's a jacked Muslim man in a turban. He's doing well at first, But then he gyrates before a woman who won't tip him, and he calls her a racist. Aaron shakes his head ruefully. Fade to later on. Picture this, ladies. Your husband's at work. You're home alone. You're nighty. You ever fantasize about that sexy landscaper blowing off your lawn? He's drenched in sweat. Then he comes inside, asks for a cold glass of water, but he pulls out his weed whacker instead. He may not speak English too good, but he does speak the language of love. Por favor, welcome to the stage. Iglesias, come out and placius. Iglesias, 27, hits the stage. He's a Latin man and extremely short. His slightly fade dance moves attract the few gays in the small crowd. He gives them a good show, and they tip him hard, but then Iglesias seems scared and pulls away. The gays erupt as the dancer runs off stage in terror. Here, Aaron raises his eyebrows. He sees potential. Fade to later on. Okay, sexy ladies, and yeah, that's halftime. Be sure to get you some drinks. Don't forget to tip your bartenders and waitresses. My sexy men are going to prepare to give you the legendary second half of the show, which ends with a cattle call on stage finale. Going to be a buffet of butt, a smorgasbord of sexy, a lunch wagon, a dick sagging. You don't want to miss it. He exits the DJ booth and makes for Aaron. They immediately hug. My man! Flash on back in the day. The legendary Chippendale dancers do their famous cattle call finale, with all 10 of them on stage dancing in perfect synchronicity. They wear their iconic bow ties, cummerbunds, and black skin-tight pants like sexy waiters. A younger Aaron is the lead dancer here, with a much more fit and youthful Lucretius tearing it up beside him. Organized, perfect, lights, music, and a huge crowd of women throwing fistfuls of cash at them. Back to present bar moments later. Aaron and Lucretius have talked. They stare down into their beers in excruciating silence. Then, give it to me straight, Aaron.
You already know. It sucks.
Yeah, well, times has changed, motherfucker. Times is hard now.
Believe me, I know.
Lucretius cuts an eye at his old friend. You think you can do it? Again? Aaron polishes off his beer. Then,
What choice do we have, Luke? I can do it.
from off screen, we hear Lucretius's bellowing voice. Listen up, bitches! Dressing room. Bob, Tamir, and Iglesias sit at their makeup tables preparing for round two. Each of them is clad in different but the same wardrobe, just a slight variation on their established themes. Lucretius positions himself before his troupe of decrepit dancers, with Aaron at his side. The man with the plan has arrived. This is my boy Aaron. He is the drill sergeant of Dick, and he is now lead dancer and in control of this shit. Lucretius sits like he's in a classroom. Go!
Nice. Just what we need. One more guy to dig into minimum wage. We pull in tips on this show.
Show? Did you just say show? I think you mispronounced Dick Zaster.
Iglesias fans himself in displeasure. He speaks with a slightly fake Spanish accent. What is he doing? He is like 50 years old. Why should we listen to him? Because he was a Chippendale. And so was I. This drops like a bomb. The dancers are awestruck, eyes wide, jaws on the floor.
You were a Chippendale?
The elite. Gold standard. 75 minutes of coordinated energy and entertainment. In and out in an hour 15, we left every pussy in the place wet and drained every purse dry. Your show's stale, lifeless. Your themed thrift store costumes are played out and laughable.
Tamir has no trace of accent.
Wait, no. Guru Tamir slays, man. Chicks love it.
Yeah, I saw. Evidently, chicks love not giving you money, Guru Tamir.
I decide my team, okay? Me. End of conversation.
Yeah. Chippendale or no? This is my bullshit. I'm not changing my theme.
All the dancers seem to agree and solidify.
So your themes aren't played out.
They all shake their heads, a unified front.
Well, then I mean, I can't wait to see the second half of your show. It should be exciting. What surprises await us there? Let me guess. You dipshits do the village people for your cattle call, don't you?
Busted, heads drop in embarrassment.
Yep. You're the cop, construction worker, You're the Indian, and you are whatever that other fucking guy was. It's pathetic.
You are pathetic. How old are you?
How tall are you?
I am 5'1".
5'1". I didn't know they stacked gay that high.
I am not gay. Everyone just rolls their eyes.
It's a new day, dancers. I'm the head Jew in charge. I'm going to kite-walk this shit show into a cash cow come hell or high agua. You will all change your themes with what I call embracing the fuck.
Aaron moves to Bob and gets right in his face.
Haven't hit the gym in a while, have you there, heartthrob? You are now Dad Bod Bob. But we will add to your mystique. You got big problems, Bob. The world and everyone in it fucking hates you and makes your life an endless rolling nightmare. You're like that guy from the movie, Falling Down. Luke, what was that actor's name? He got throat cancer from eating pussy.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, Michael Douglas with his thick glasses and his stupid fucking briefcase. Each time you're on stage, you'll display a new element of debilitating degradation as you fall down. And with your final performance before cattle call, Dad Bob will, at last, open his briefcase to reveal a bomb inside. We'll put some light ordnance in there and actually blow it up. It'll scare the shit out of everyone. Don't worry, I got a guy for that.
Aaron moves to Tamir and takes the same posture.
Why don't you have an accent, Osama?
Because I'm American.
No, you're not. You hate America and Americans. You are no guru. You are now Tamir the terrorist. You come on stage with an AK-47 waving a Palestine flag and wearing a very fucking suspicious looking backpack. Now do the accent, Osama.
I can't. I was born here, man.
Come on. Allah.
I'm not going to be a terrorist, and I can't do the accent.
Dig deep, al-Baghdadi. Allah.
Stop. Just don't.
Allah.
Allah Akbar! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. The innocent people of Gaza will slay the Jews. We will kill all apostates. Every last one of you. Sharmut al-Shatan.
Everyone's blown away. Tamir holds a hand to his gaping mouth as if he can't believe what he just did. Now Iglesias is like an excited schoolchild. Oh, do me now.
You, my mini amigo, will be our border jumping wetback.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. You will present with a thank you, Joe Biden t-shirt and a sweet ass sombrero. But we got to dig deeper. After you abandon your child in the desert, it'll become obvious you didn't just come here to trabajo hard and accept foundational American values. No, you came to live out loud.
No.
To be your true self.
No.
Your final solo before the call will be a hulking host, a homo, an explosion of gay as you finally burst out of the closet you've been locked up in all those años. Your new stage name shall be Iglesias. Come in my facius.
No, I never do this. No.
Yes, my petite flower. In fact, you're going to be our unicorn, flapping your gay wings over masses of gay men to get all their gay money.
You thinking Iggy for the viral vid?
Yeah.
You mean like on the interwebs? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. Aaron bends down and gets right in his face.
I am doing a viral video. Say it in gay.
All right, and scene. Nice work, gentlemen. Nice work. Gordo, did you survive security in there?
I did. I was afraid for a second. I might take one to the side of the head. I had to.
All right, now, guys, we have somebody, a surprise guest waiting backstage. Let me give you some stats before we bring out our Hollywood big boy. This man has done over 140 films and television shows, been in the business over 40 years. His credits include Porky's, Porky's 2, the classic A Christmas Story. He's going to tell us that story about that. I love that story. Weekend at Bernie's, Late Shift. He's also done big blockbusters, Resident Evil, City of Bones with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. That's what Lassiter calls him. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. Loves that guy. But he has received the prestigious Cinema and Television's Golden Screen Award, which honors the highest grossing Canadian produced feature film an unprecedented 9 times. He also produced Boondock Saints 1 and 2. My trusty producer and friend for the last 30 years. Please welcome Don Carmody. Yay! Don!
Don, hey man.
Hey, Don.
Aaron,
Oh, yeah.
good to see you again after all these years.
Good to see you. I did not know that this was happening.
Yeah.
How many times
Good.
have you guys actually worked together? Don, have you worked with Aaron on anything but Boondock?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm not sure.
Don helped me get into the United States and become an American. I don't know if
Yeah?
he remembers this, but when you leave Canada, you have to get letters from like the upper echelon of people in show business. And Don helped write me a letter. It was like Don, Jim Gaffigan. I had all these great comics, and Don was one of the highlight letters. And now I live in America, and I have a Dodge Ram. Thanks, Don.
Yeah.
Where do these letters go to when you collect all these things? Like, how many did you need? And like, what happened with it?
Well, during the Biden administration, you could just walk in. But before that, you had to get these letters and submit them to the government. And that's what I did. You send them to USCIS. And then I had to do a test to become an American. 100 questions you had to memorize. And I knew everything about it. I knew them in and out.
And they're like, oh, it's fucking Jim Gaffigan. It's fucking us, Don.
Yeah, I've had to
what
do
it
it.
is.
I've
Yes.
written a lot of those letters to various
You're a good
lot of
man, Don.
actors, comedians,
Don.
etc.
John, you in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
All right. Were you listening backstage when we were reading some of that stuff?
Yeah, yes, I was. I thought it was very funny. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give us some advice. I mean, essentially, you know what? Here's the way me and Aaron are kind of aiming this thing. We're gonna have it. Like polished off and ready here, probably in just a couple of days, maybe a week. But you know, we got a guy that's used to dealing with low budget indies, had some success with it. Guy that can act, and it's his story. So we've basically got those two things covered. What kind of budget level are you sensing? Can you tell us anything about? We've done so much film and television. If we wanted to make a cool indie comedy about this, what do we need to do? Tell the people.
Well, as far as your budget level goes, if keeping it fairly low is a good one, it's you know, in what I'm reading, unless it gets really wild later on or what you've played out, it's pretty low rent. You know, backstage of these, you know, suburban and out of metropolitan area strip clubs, pretty cheap. So, you know, the main thing is to get the right cast of characters and the best actors involved. So
I think Aaron's got
characters.
Aaron's got some ideas on that. What you have a bunch of comedy friends, right? Like
Yeah.
big-
I mean, I got a lot of big famous comedy friends. The thing is, I think for our leads, I got a couple people in mind. You know, we need a really funny guy for Lucretius. We need someone of stature to play Iglesias. I mean, we need a really tiny, talented, Latin, possibly gay.
Yeah,
I
I actually.
clothes off, I assume. This is the other
I
thing.
think we're going to be taking our clothes off.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some clothes taken off because we're. That's actually, you know, sometimes when you're writing, there's this thing that you're scared of, right? Like, how are we going to make this funny, or how are we going to make? And that thing becomes the gold of the whole deal. When they actually start to do their show is when the true funny comes up. And there's a couple of guys I know that could actually play that. You know,
Young John Leguizamo would have been
something. Or Mario Lopez, that type of thing, you know, smaller, skinnier Mario Lopez.
Yeah.
Got a couple, you know.
Well,
But
the other
there's
thing
an
to keep
actor-
in mind is, you know, women are much more comfortable taking their clothes off than guys, I found in the casting process. You know, we got, oh, and by the way, you got to take your clothes off. Oh, no,
Dad Bob has got to take his clothes off, and he's not exactly from the script.
yeah.
You know,
And Lucretius, dude, you basically.
in a position to do that.
I don't know. We need a fat guy, just an out of shape guy, right? With Lucretia's, not necessarily fat.
Dad
Oh,
bod.
dude.
They call
Yeah.
that dad bod now.
Yeah,
Dad bod.
everybody's got it. So the nudity may be an issue, we think.
Yeah.
Well, but it's what's going to break you out. And set
But
you
what
up.
about the full Monty? Because we got it. I mean, I don't know if we should bring that up because those guys pulled that off, right? I mean, those guys
Oh,
weren't
yeah,
exactly
that's right.
in
That's
shape.
right.
Yeah, it was a flash, but also you get things like the Pam and Tommy Lee story,
Yeah.
where his penis was only on camera, but it talked.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It did. What a stroke of genius that was.
Mm.
Yeah, and if you see Anora, there's quite a bit of tons of female nudity with her,
Uh-huh.
but and her dancers backstage, but also male nudity as well.
Do you think the audience is generally uncomfortable with male nudity as opposed to
Oh,
female
yeah.
nudity at this point? Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
really.
but if you keep it quick and funny,
And it's all they can stomach because it's not exactly pretty.
yeah. The whole idea is to treat it funny. So.
Yeah.
What was the movie you did, Don, with the most nudity in it? You think?
I'm trying to think. Well, yeah, we used to get away with a lot more early on. So some of the early stuff, like very first David Cronenberg movie I did, Shivers, had a ton of nudity in it. And and in Rabbit, the second movie we did with David, we cast Marilyn Chambers, behind the green door, Marilyn.
She was the porn chick from the 70s?
Yeah. We were trying to catch in on her name more than anything. She actually didn't have to take her clothes off that much. She just kept doing it, and we kept going, no, it's okay.
Oh, it's not time. It's not time. Oh, shit. All right.
You know what? Still, well, one of the things that I love from your roster is A Christmas Story. We just recently did a beer cast, and they sent us a beer called Fragile Festivus. There was a picture of the leg lamp on it, dude.
Fragile, it's Italian.
Fragile. It's gotta be French. It's fancy. So I wanted you to, because you told me once you told me once about how you actually made that movie catch on through college campuses and smaller theaters. Is like you were a producer on it, some other guy was. You knew you had gold. It ends up being one of the biggest cult classics ever. But how did you make it a success at the time? Because you didn't have much backing.
For Christmas Story?
Yeah.
The problem with Christmas Story was when we made the movie for MGM, it was under this weird Italian guy. And the studio, in their infinite wisdom, released the movie in July. No one went to see that movie. No one.
Oh.
And it wasn't until Ted Turner bought MGM Studios and he saw the movie and he fell in love with it. And when he actually sold it again to Kirk Kerkorian, he kept A Christmas Story as part of the deal. He took one movie with him, and it was A Christmas Story. And then he started playing it every goddamn Christmas on Turner Broadcast, TBS.
So he was responsible for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And he would run it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at Christmas.
The dad in that show is one of my favorite of all time. Like it reminds me of my grandfather. I'm sure a lot of people's grandfather. He's right there in that time. He fits right in there. What was that actor's name? What was his name?
Darren.
He's been in so many things.
Darren McGavin.
Yeah, God, he was great.
Anytime it's funny with cult classics. Anytime you see anybody that was in, even the kid, the little kid. Anytime you see any of them, another thing, that's all you think about. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. I saw the mom and the dad from Christmas Story in other shit. And you're just like, oh, fuck yeah.
Well, the little kid is making a fortune out of redoing Christmas Story. He brought it to Broadway. He managed to get the rights.
Wow. Really?
Into Broadway. Yeah.
Are you aware that they Sam Macaroni, the house that was shot in Ohio?
Yeah.
Sam Macaroni rented it one Christmas and put him and his girl stayed in it. It's got the leg lamp and everything. The whole place is this big Airbnb setup.
You want to hear a great story on that one?
Absolutely.
We didn't shoot the movie in Cleveland. We shot
Yeah.
the exterior of the house. The house, the whole interior was on a stage in Toronto.
It's a stage. I was just going to ask, is that inside anything like?
It was on a stage in Toronto, and the guy that bought the house had the brilliant idea, and he reached out to my production designer, and he bought the plans from the production designer, and he rejigged the house in Cleveland.
You're
and
kidding.
Decorated it with the help of our set decorator to look just like the house. And he started charging people $5 to walk through it.
That's fantastic.
You know what? He did a good job too, because Macaroni kept doing little text videos. And he's like, look, and he's putting the film there, and he's like, it's the same wallpaper. Oh,
They hired the set decorator and the production designer from the movie, and they rejigged it. We didn't shoot. We shot Bigby's department store exterior, the part of the parade, and we shot the exterior of the house. That's all we shot in Cleveland. Everything else was in Toronto.
Wow. What about the backyard scenes? Because we had the scene of all the robbers coming over, and then the dream sequence. Was that all on the stage?
Yeah, all in Toronto. The tongue on the flagpole, that was all Toronto. All of that stuff.
Yeah. What'd you stick his tongue with?
What?
What did you stick his tongue with?
You were talking over each other, guys. I couldn't hear.
Let me go, Gord. East End or West End of Toronto?
The East End.
Yeah. I could feel it. And Porky's, if you grew up in Canada, Porky's was essential viewing. Absolutely essential.
Wherever it was, I
grew up in New England. It was essential
all the time. Thank you for showing me my first breasts.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. I wanted to ask you though.
That in Florida. I didn't shoot that in Canada, so that was all shot in South Florida.
Okay. What did you stick his tongue to the pole with?
Yeah. Because that looked real.
The kid held it there himself.
He was pulling on it.
Yeah, but he was pulling on it. Was there like a fake tongue?
Yeah. That we did have a fake tongue at one point. Yeah.
Oh God, that would be worth $1 million right now if we could find that goddamn thing. The fake tongue.
Put it in the house and stick the tongue to it. Yeah, go ahead. Take the picture.
I never kept souvenirs from that stuff in the old days.
Yeah. All right, raise your hand if you actually did that. Put your tongue on metal as a kid. When I did, 100%. I totally fucking did. It wasn't a flagpole, it was something else. It was like a fence post, but I was like, that's bullshit. Hey, Don, tell that story. I remember you were telling me you were on vacation once, and you met these people, and they asked you what you did, and you said, I'm a movie producer, and you listed anything we might know, and you started listing your movies, and when you got to Boondock Saints, they were like, you did Boondock Saints? And what happened?
I was in a resort called Peter Island, which is in the British Virgin Islands, and we met this couple at dinner. It was this very small resort, and I started going through it, and turns out they were from Boston, and they knew Boondock Saints chapter and verse. So did their kids. They immediately got on the phone, and you're never going to guess who we're having dinner with, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and the funny thing was they were at Peter Island to get married, and they invited my wife and I to be witnesses to the marriage. Right, because I had produced Boondock Saints.
Wow.
Does anybody object? You should have been like, oi, there's some objection here.
Straight into the prayer.
Straight into the prayer.
Well, the other one, Troy, I think I told you, was I was in Ireland touring around, and our tour guide took us into this pub where there must have been like 1 million hats all stuck to the ceiling from all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And I was wearing my Boondock Saints cap. And the guy walked up to me and he says, I'll be having that hat.
Is that right?
Yeah, I remember there was
I traded him the entire meal for the hat.
I was going to ask what happened there. What was it?
Hey, Gordo, did CB ever tell you that story about him getting bum rushed at a wedding too?
No, I don't think he did.
He was at one of his buddies' weddings, and like the groomsmen who he didn't know, right? Hadn't seen the guy in 30 years. But the groomsmen surround him and they're like, "You did Boondock Saints, huh?" CB's like, "Yeah." He's one of the producers on it, right? And they didn't believe him. And they're like, recite the prayer. and CB,
he would do such a thing as claim to be
but CB like didn't memorize the fucking prayer, and it was kind of on the spot. He's like, "Dude, I thought I was going to get my ass kicked." And all these dudes recite the prayer simultaneously, en masse with each other around him. And the groom comes running over, like, no, he did produce Boondock Saints. And they're like, "Oh shit, really?" So he had a good time after that.
We're gonna have his ass, for that.
Oh, yeah. Whenever all right, guys. Anybody from the military, they all know Boondock Saints.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we did that USO tour. I think it was back in 2010, 2011. Me and Norman Sean went to Djibouti, Africa, a couple other places with the USO, screened, I think, the sequel there. And it was like the coolest experience, but it's top 5 in the U.S. military. It basically goes platoon, Full Metal, Boondock Saints. It was really cool to see, man.
Yeah.
And then the soldiers over there, they totally showed us shit they shouldn't have been showing us. We did not have the clearance, bro.
Like what?
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. We are going to leave our viewers with a little present, like we always do. Content only we can provide, and we're going to talk about this on the next one. Gordo and John, we're going to go deep dive into Audiobook. I've got an audiobook called Boondock Saints Volume 1, Blood Origin, coming out. The first chapter, to any viewers that want to see it in order, we released it on the second podcast with the American History X guy, David McKenna. So chapter 1's on there. Chapter 2 is going to be played here. Don't worry, there's 45 chapters and over 20 hours of audiobook to talk about. Awesome. So me, you, and Lassiter are going to go deep dive in that, and maybe another author if we can snag one. But Don, when you have a minute, let's do a quick update on Boondock 3 this week. It'll just be me and you. All right. I think you got the outline, correct?
Yeah. And no, for sure.
All right.
And before I go, I just want to say, hey, congratulations, Aaron and Troy, on the script. It sounds very promising.
Thank you.
So something I'd like to see a little further.
All right. Yeah, we'll get that to you. We'll get that right off to you when we're done, Don. Thank you.
Okay.
Love
you guys take care.
All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Chapter 2, A Brief History. Psalms 91:11. For he will command his angels in regard to you, to protect and defend and guard you in all your ways. In the morning, Pam McFinity presented a search warrant for the school janitor's locker and utility room. The principal, Margaret Everest, was flustered and had no idea what this could be about, but she wasn't about to be pushed around by local Garda. It says here that a duly designated school official must observe the search. That'd be me, D.I. McFinity. Within 10 minutes, Mount Everest, as she was called by her students, came crumbling down. She sobbed as she looked at the pictures, taken on a Kodak Instamatic camera, also found at the scene. Kids, male and female, from ages 8 to 14 in various stages of undress, and immortalized in sexually suggestive poses well beyond their years. The photos were taken in this very utility room. The majority were shot on a fold-out cot also found there. Some of the children's faces were garishly painted with makeup. Pam McFinity stared at one particularly disturbing photo. A little girl she knew, Mary McCool. Her mom was the detective's best friend. They had gone to school together, and Pam had been at the hospital on the day little Mary had come screaming into this world. Auntie Pammy had babysat many times. Angry tears as the detective realized he had made her smile. Then her cop brain took over. She quickly rifled through the photos again. Connor and Murphy McManus were not among them. They were not victims. The realization washed over like a cold tide. 2 13-year-old boys just attacked a pedophile because he was a pedophile. And they almost killed him. She whispered, Jesus Christ. This incident gave the McManus boys quite a reputation. The papers got a hold of it, but neither the cops nor the McManus family were talking, though it seemed common knowledge that the boys had done it. no one in the tight-knit community had spilled much to the press. The story became about a monster living among us. When Norbert Michael Kinney's first mugshot was published, everyone stared in shock at what the boys had truly done. Multiple grisly lacerations, stitched up all over his face, looked like a grotesque road map and made the man even more of a monster. The press suggested that Kinney had suffered a community-sanctioned attack that was being covered up by the police. Connor and Murphy got clapped on the shoulders by people wherever they went. "You're good boys," always followed by a knowing nod. Then the real perks kicked in. The boys had been strictly forbidden from even entering their Uncle Sibyl's bar, per dictate of Ma Bell. The Anvil was a legendary venue, just brimming with old-school Irish charm. The storied pub was like a beacon calling to them, but kept just out of reach. Once they had gone there at Ma Bell's request to retrieve something from their Uncle Sib, and he had booted them out on sight. He would not even allow them to explain. "Out you go! Bell would be mortified, you little shit whistles." But Ma Bell lifted the ban. Though she would never admit it, she was proud of what her boys had done, and so she finally conceded. In the very deepest parts of her heart, she always knew. She knew they were destined for something. Now, she was terrified at what that could be, knowing what she knew, her secret. She would never tell them. Never, ever tell them. So at the tender age of 13, the boys suddenly had the run of the place. They bussed tables, they kept glasses full. Uncle Sib taught them how to ring up customers and run the business. Connor and Murphy had become a strange new draw of sorts. Most Irish wives detested their husbands going out drinking and often fought them on it. But somehow, "I'm going down the Anvil to see the brothers," became a free pass for many thirsty husbands. And just like that, Connor and Murphy had gone from the McManus boys to the brothers. The brothers. Ma Bell would come down to the Anvil from time to time and regale the regulars with stories of her boys, ever building their community lore. Some were embarrassing mum stories, but each one had a little magic. "They were born holding hands, you know," she recalled. And as babies, they had held hands, one hand, Murphy's right and Connor's left, as they lay beside one another in the bassinet. She called it the Kung Fu grip, and it was nearly impossible to get them apart. "I gave up on that right quick." On the day the newborns were baptized, they had assumed their unbreakable grasp, and Ma Bell had laughed at the priest as he labored to part them. He had implored her, "Ma'am, the Lord embraces only one soul at a time in all his mercy." Ma Bell retorted, "I carried both the little bastards in me belly for 9 months. They ruined me girlish figure in one fell swoop. Pretty sure Jesus is good for a twofer, Father." The holy man had never done this, and ended up dropping the newborns in the baptismal basin. In a flustered emergency save, the boys were quickly withdrawn, their armored grip still intact. At 10 years old, the brothers had heard the tale, and Connor, always the more spiritual of the two, innocently asked, "Well then, were we really baptized, Ma Bell?" She smiled. "Well, I think you got the standard plan, but I wouldn't go around pushing the boundaries." She had also refused to tell them who came out first, forever barring one to claim the title of older brother. This infuriated her sons, and they pressed her to give up this sacred information constantly. One day, during a particularly laborious cross-examination, Ma Bell spun around in fury. "You want to know so bad, then fine. I'll tell you who came out first. It's the one with the bigger tallywhacker." This quickly led to a showdown in the bathroom with a ruler and the boys' pants around their ankles. Connor had angrily called out through the cracked door, "You're lying, Ma! We got the same shillelagh!" At 15, their Uncle Sibyl had walked them into the Titan boxing gym. It was a rite of passage for all Irish boys, and their uncle had greased the wheels. The brothers quickly escalated through the ranks, and the fighting bug bit them hard. Soon, they were studying Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga, and mastering all of them. This all combined into a playbook of the most effective fighting techniques from each practice, a custom brand of McManus martial arts that the boys called shit salad foo. The plan had always been to go to America and get their slice of the American dream. They watched all the U.S. TV shows and kept up with news from the land of plenty on the internet. Ma Bell had jumped the pond in her youth. She had worked in Boston as a nanny to a semi-wealthy family, but not much later, she had returned to Ireland under mysterious circumstances. Circumstances she never spoke of. She would never tell them. Never, ever tell them. The subject of their absent father was verboten, and a source of constant blow-ups between the trio. All Ma Bell would give up was that he, too, was an immigrant. They met in Boston and married young. She eventually left, he stayed. Her maiden name was Rafferty, but she, for reasons she would not share, had kept his surname, McManus, not Mick, Mac, the Scottish way. So he was a Scot? They questioned. She would not say. What was he? What'd he do for a living? No comment. How'd you meet him? Brick wall. The only crack in that wall came in their mid-teens when Ma Bell's eyes were drooping from a little too much sherry. It was her only crutch, and when she drank, she became a soft target for the boys to massage for info. That night she had muttered, "He doesn't deserve you." Connor shot a hard glance. Doesn't? So he's still alive? It had never occurred to her that they might think their father was dead, and in truth, she didn't know one way or the other. Ma Bell got up, staggered to her room, and closed the door behind. Never, ever. This forced the boys to come up with their own conclusions, and they did, two very different ones. Connor was filled with consternation on the subject. They had the fucking right to know where and who they came from. This view left their father a mystery to Connor. Was he a captain of industry, a daddy warbucks, who they would meet someday in a tearful reunion, which would open up a whole new world for them? Or was he a drunk, an abuser, a worthless bum? The field was wide open for Connor, but one thing was certain. He had to know. Every child had this birthright, and their vindictive ma had no right to keep it from them. But Murphy was another story. After years of chipping away at the stone, he simply concluded, he left her. Left us. Only thing that explains it. Hell hath no fury, yeah? If he doesn't want to know us, then fuck him. Hope he's dead in a ditch somewheres. All this fed into the choice of U.S. destination cities in which to make their start. A choice Connor made solo. We're going to Boston. Murphy knew why. So did his brother. The boys worked 7 days a week to save up a nest egg that would fund their journey to the golden shores of the U.S. and give them some elbow room to boot. We need enough for at least 6 months so we can dig in and get sorted, Connor had concluded. But they worked in the strangest way. Connor had decided early on that they must become jacks of all working-class trades. First they worked construction, and by 16, the boys could build, plumb, and wire a house from the ground up, level and square. Once they checked that box, they moved on to stonemasonry and labored under the tutelage of Max McCune. On their last day, the master craftsman finally explained to them the stonemason's gift, a unique symbol, chosen by each mason, chipped into some small, almost hidden place in every build. Murphy asked what it meant, and Max rested a hand on the dry stacked stone wall they had just finished, a masterpiece in which he had slipped just a single piece of cherished Connemara marble. "'Cause we're only here for a minute or two, but this'll be here 1,000 years, and they'll know somebody cared, somebody done it right." Then it was on to meat cutting under the watchful eye of Alvin Borland of Borland's Butchery. Soon enough, the boys could take apart whole animals with precision and break them down into perfect cuts every time. It was always a sad day for each proprietor when the brothers abruptly moved on, but they all had the satisfaction of knowing they had taught the boys well, made them just a little bit better, prepared them for the success that they would certainly find in America. Each of the boys' mentors, knowing the brothers' ultimate goal, had taken the atypical step of keeping them off the books, a rare risk in the heavily regulated country of Ireland, and one for which they could pay a heavy price if discovered. But the boys were worth it to their many surrogate fathers in this close-knit community. The brothers worked security at the Anvil every weekend, which ensured it was the safest pub in Ireland. Connor checked IDs at the door and waved in regulars. Murphy bussed tables and kept things cool inside. American tourists often visited and were inevitably charmed into giving up their personal stories, ever fueling the brothers' rosy perception of life in America. The boys' security style when things got rowdy was best described by their beaming Uncle Sibyl. Smooth as a fresh jar of jam, they are. They could cajole a pack of rowdy drunks into paying their tab and sauntering out the door and make them think it was their idea. But a few times it got physical, most notably with a Polish immigrant everyone called Big Lock, a deserving moniker as the man was a giant. Guy looks like 4 barrels of whiskey all lashed together, Murphy observed one night. But Big Lock could become a mean drunk on occasion, and on those nights, he would pay his tab and stomp out wordlessly. But not this night. Connor and Murphy were having a smoke out front when they heard the crash. The boys ditched their cigs and rushed inside to see the monster had overturned a table and now had a man by the throat. He was screaming in Polish. The brothers made a beeline for him. Without talking, they already knew what they were going to do. It was a selection from their library of shit salad foo moves called the high-low. Just steps away, Connor shouted, "Big Lock!" The man turned and did not know what hit him. Connor went low and wrapped himself around one of the Titan's legs, bending his knee to the floor. Murphy went high, winding around the giant's neck and putting him in a rear-naked choke. Big Lock crashed to the ground. Connor reversed into a triangle leg lock, a submission technique for which there is no defense. Once Connor had control of Big Lock's ankle, it was essentially over, and all he had to do was wait for Murphy to choke the man out, which he did. The whole thing was over in about 15 seconds. The packed bar stood in silent awe at what they had just witnessed. The boys erected themselves and caught their breath as they looked down at the comatose colossus. Connor turned to his brother. Took you a little longer than usual. Murphy retorted, "Fucker's got a neck like a horse." They rifled through Lock's pockets and pulled his wallet. Connor called out, "Cool. What's he good for on the tip?" Mary McCool had been a waitress at the Anvil for years, largely thanks to the boys. 10%, she whispered. Connor took out a wad of pounds sterling and handed them to her. He replaced the man's wallet. Then he and Murphy each took an ankle and began dragging Big Lock toward the door. By now, several regulars had snapped out of it and began to help. "Watch his head," Murphy muttered as they pulled his huge frame down the 3-worn granite steps of the corner entrance. Uncle Sibyl put his hands on his hips and looked down. "Well, that was He was interrupted by a hellish, "Ah!" Big Lock bolted back to life and leapt to his feet. Everyone jumped back, save for the brothers who stood their ground. As he regained his equilibrium, "You fucks me! You fucking suckers me! You suckers me! I fucks you now! Come on! Come on!" The enormous pole balled his meat-hook fists and prepared as everyone inside the pub took to the windows. Clearly the man felt he had been somehow caught off guard. Murphy leveled a threatening finger. "Lock, you don't go home now? We'll do it to you again." Big Lock seemed to hesitate as he noticed all the faces plastered to the picture windows of the bar. "Aye," Connor said, "and afterwards, we won't like you too much." And there it was. This simple phrase dropped like the namesake of the famed pub behind them, a fucking anvil. Its effects were earth-shaking, seismic. If the brothers didn't like you too much, you were done. It was an unwritten community law that may as well have been chiseled in stone at the town square. It had happened only a few times in the past. First, the disapproving looks leveled at the offending party that soon gave rise to the specter of Norbert Kinney. Eventually, the whisperings gained the fury of a storm. It was as if the boys had identified another threat to the community and branded him with the scarlet letter A for asshole. Always knew there was something wrong with him. Soon enough, the perpetrator would be refused service at stores and eateries. No holding hands and dogmatic peace be with yous at church. Slowly but surely, a community-approved exile would take place. Friends and acquaintances would turn their backs on the convicted, and they would be forced to do their food shopping in Dublin, a good 40-minute drive. Soon enough, the transgressor would bow to the pressure of the silent tempest swirling around them and just disappear, much to the approval of the local populace. Good feckin' riddance. Now, Big Lock had a big decision before him. He glanced across the faces plastered on the windows, D.I. Pamela McFinity among them. She knew just a little more than the rest, and even though her eyes were fogged from being in her cups that evening, she gave a solemn shaking of the head that seemed to say, "Don't do it." The big man slowly dropped his hands. Then he simply turned and walked away. A few days later, Big Lock returned to the pub with a Tupperware container of his mom's famed pierogies, still fresh from the boil and flashed in brown butter. The peace offering was quickly accepted by the brothers, and the large man was soon sitting in his old spot, being slowly re-embraced as the boys wolfed down the Polish delicacy at the door. "Jesus," muttered Murphy through his chomping teeth. "You think his man is seeing anybody? Connor laughed. Murphy owned his brother's funny bone. I'm serious. I give it a high hard one every week for more of these. Connor chuckled as he shook his head and munched away. She's probably old, Murphy retorted. Then I just bring a dustbuster and have at it. The brother's style of worship was an oddity. Ma Bell never went to church. I have my own personal relationship with the Almighty. I'm his favorite, and as a reward, he has released me from this obligation. Connor and Murphy attended church every Sunday, no matter what. The practice had arisen in their childhood. They figured if Ma Bell wasn't going to give them any answers on their maybe God would. Over the years, it had gotten stale for Murphy, all the standing, sitting, and kneeling. It all seemed like a show just to make everyone feel better about themselves, but didn't really mean anything. One day, he asked Connor, do you buy it? God and Jesus and shite? You think it's real? His brother's answer came quick. Yes. You? Murphy grimaced. I don't know. There is a God, he could be doing a way better job of sorting shit out down here. For Connor, it was different. He embraced all the rote Catholic protocols and prayed for real. Please, Father, help us get to America, watch over us, and help us find him. So it was strange that Connor was the reason it had all happened. On one particular Sunday, he was antsy at church. They would be late to the job site, and today they were studding out walls, a most important feature of the build and knowledge he and his brother needed. It was also time and a half pay on Sunday, though many considered it a sacrilege to work on the Sabbath. The church prayed in silence, the entire flock penitent on the padded knee rails. Murphy felt a tap on his shoulder. He opened his eyes and turned to his brother, who whispered, Come on. The brother stood, shuffled past worshippers and into the aisle. A few opened their eyes, but instead of leaving, Connor turned and made his way toward the altar. Murphy followed, confused. Standing at the pulpit, Father McTornan heard the footsteps approaching and the whispers darting through his flock. He opened his eyes and checked at the brother's approach. He was a stalwart holy man who exhibited unflinching belief at all times, but in that moment, something new took his heart, fear. The priest came within a millisecond of blurting out, Wait, what did I do? But he miraculously held his tongue as Connor and Murphy brushed past him, knelt and kissed the feet of Christ on the crucifix that loomed behind. Then they stood up and walked back down the aisle and out the front entry. After just a few steps, Murphy burst into guffaws. Well, I don't suppose they'll have much to say about that one. Connor merely hustled his pace. Come on, we're late. After the service, it spread like wildfire. What was that? Why had the brothers done it? You think they're off to do something again? Father McTornan was furious as he spoke with his chosen few, but just loud enough for many to hear. Oh, may they be spared the Lord's wrath for this sacrilege. May God stay his terrible hand, and may he protect them still. Protect them. The words came from the mouth of Robert McCool, Mary's father. A statement, not a question. All heads turned as he approached the church leader, who was draped in flowing white robes. Robert's long-suffering wife stood at his side. Since the incident, the woman was simply broken and had the look of someone who was just quietly waiting for death, the tender mercy she prayed would be granted soon. The couple had not uttered a single word to anyone in church in years, but this was a new day, and Robert McCool cut an eye at the holy man. The brothers do what they do, and if God's got a problem with it, I'm sure he's entirely capable of sorting it out himself. He turned, grasped his wife's hand, and walked out, and with that, the last nail was slammed in the coffin. Next Sunday, it was Connor who got the tap on the shoulder. He turned and whispered, What? Murphy just cocked his head toward the aisle with a sly grin. A clear message, let's do it again. Connor was shocked. What? No. But Murphy stood. Those around them braced themselves. Holy shit, they're going to do it again. And they did. Exactly the same way. They hit the street this time. Murphy leapt into the air with a triumphant skyward fist. Oh, fuck, yes. We got our church time in half. This is fucking brilliant. Connor shook his head ruefully. I don't know. We shouldn't fuck around with this. Still on high, Murphy snapped at his brother. Oh, come on. We get to work on time and Jesus still loves us. Fucking brilliant. Then it happened again and again. Then every Sunday like clockwork. and a whole new thing took over. Each time the boys brushed past McTornan, he remained at prayer, his eyes closed and a subtle nod of the head. He solemnly accepted this blessed gift and seemed to glow with more holy light each time. His flock grew as more came, not to hear his preaching, but to bear witness. This little parish was special. It was blessed, ordained even. And God loved everyone in it just a little more than the rest. This place was theirs. The brothers belonged to them.
Welcome to the Boondoctor Beer Cast. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into beer and the brewing process. It has been said that bread is the staff of life, and beer is life itself.